Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Skóra, also known as Islands in Front, and today we're talking about Paupergeddon. Paupergeddon that I top 16'd. Bam, this is my beautiful top 16 token. And I talked about it on Reddit, as you can see here. A lot of likes, thank you very much. And I went 11 and 3, good for 12th place. Now what I want to focus on is something different, because I posted my Pauper tier list some time back. I got almost 3,000 views. And Sylvic Gaming said, I think it would be incredible to see an update to this video after Paupergeddon to get an idea where you were on or off. Challenge accepted. And so today I want to take a look at the metagame of Paupergeddon and compare it to my own predictions. And so, bam. I posted this article, that's an intro for newer players with my standings and stuff and the video itself. And this was the final tier list. And the tier list was meant to inform my decisions when it comes to preparing for the tournament. So I think it's going to be very, very useful to re-examine that. So what I thought is top 3, Blue Terra, Grixis Affinity, and Giant Wildfire. And then I thought very strong contenders are Blue Fairies, Pingerburn, High Tide, Gruul, and Rakdos Burn. And then the rest is like properly below that, right? So let's take a look at both day 1 and day 2 metagames. Now, conceptually, the difference is huge because I've talked about this a lot, especially if you're on my free public Discord of Fairies. It's called Winner's Metagame. On day 1, you'll meet a lot of those decks from C and D tier I've got here. So you kind of have to be ready for them. But if you want to do really well, like go 11 and 3, you have to be good in the winner's metagame, right? So if you don't beat those poorer decks, you won't get to the winner's metagame because you won't even day 2 in the first place. But when you do day 2, you need to win in the winner's metagame. So this is a very interesting concept that it's kind of a different thing. Sometimes it will be the same or similar, but it doesn't have to be. So let's take a look at the day 1 metagame. Giant Wildfire 15%. Got it. That admittedly wasn't difficult to predict, but I got this. Mono Red Synth. Now I think a lot of Mono Reds are coupled into this. So like Pinger, Madness, you know, Mono Red Madness, maybe like even a rally at the Hornberg deck that my friend Franek top 4'd the Geddon with. But Mono Red second, I did not expect that. I'd expect it to be decent, but not second. Then Rakdos Madness, sheesh, okay, third. Now, admittedly, this is where my personal opinion about the decks come through, because I genuinely think Rakdos Madness is a very mid deck. That's what I think. So this is where my personal opinion on the power of the deck clashed with the popularity, right? I'm not sure why it was so popular, but it was. So it was the third most popular deck. Then we've got Mono Blue Aggro, which from my understanding is Fairies because Terra is below. So Fairies was the 4th most played deck and the most played blue deck in any capacity. Then Mono Red Madness. So, okay, Mono Red Madness is actually separate, okay. Then Mono Blue Terra. And then we've got High Tide and Elves and only then Affinity. And then Gruul was like, what, 2%. So basically, I was right about Giant Wildfire, but again, I'm not surprised I was because everybody would. It seems that Grixis Affinity players maybe have shifted towards Giant. Blue Terra turned out not to be the premier blue creature deck, but Fairies were. So basically, I would have to move, like basically Grixis is basically Giant. Blue Terra has to go all the way back, and then Rakdos should go all the way in the front. And that was day 1. What about day 2? Has that changed? So let's look at the day 2%, right? Mono Red Synth, 23 copies, the most popular deck. Then we've got Giant Wildfire, the second most popular. Then Mono Blue Terra actually emerges, right? And that is much more in line with what I thought, right? Okay, so maybe I was wrong after all. Then we've got Mono Blue Fairies, let's go. Mono Red Madness then, High Tide, okay, a bit more in line with what I thought. Familiars, okay. Madness, Elves, and then red-green is all the way down. So if you look at the winner's metagame then, let's try to find Grixis affinity. Oh, well, I can't. Sure. What a weird metagame is that. So what I completely missed was overvaluing affinity, right? Currently. I'm living in this, because I think the deck is still legit, but I think it's either maybe not legit enough, or if you're going to play that play style, you might as well play Giant Wildfire. So that's the big thing I missed. I would also put Blue Terra. I think it's still decent, and as you can see, it turned out to be really decent. And also, I think it was in the finals of the tournament. So basically, if I were to change that now, it would be Giant Wildfire first, with Pingerburn, and this would be like the top 2 decks. Then I would put Pinger, Fairies, Madness, and Terra, and then I think it would be a solid gap then for the rest of those. So, in broad strokes, was I correct? I think I was, because the same decks are here, it's a different order of those decks. Was I wrong? I think I was wrong at the same time, because even though the order is wrong, and I say that as being correct, kind of, it's also a huge difference, because if I expect Pingerburn to be top 2 deck, not top 6 deck, I'm going to prepare differently. So, for example, Fairies, I think I approached the mirror appropriately when it comes to the importance. But Blue Terra, not really. And if you watch my, let's actually go here to my channel, when I talked about my deck list for Paupergeddon, I analyzed the cards, right? And then I came up with the final deck list. And this was the deck list, and I also changed it a bit because I actually played something just a bit different. When we go to my post here, Pauper Wave Top 16, and if you go to the top placing fairy deck, that's me, I played Bind the Monster main deck, kind of over-correcting for Blue Terra, which actually wasn't as prevalent as I had expected. Now, for fairies, there isn't much, like, you're moving just a couple of cards around, but that's important which cards you move around. And that was, as it turns out, kind of a good call, but not really. Maybe not so much for day 1, a bit better day 2, because for day 2, Bind is decent against Wildfire, Blue Terra, and the Mirror, but then falls off against Mono Red, Madness, High Tide. So, mixed bag there. And let's take a look at conversions as well, because so we know now what the metagame is, right? We kind of understand what the metagame is post-Geddon. Now let's take a look at the conversions. Excellent conversion for familiars. Now we can say that it's mainly because the people who play it are experts, which is possibly true. Awesome. Ragnar's Madness, that I'm not gonna lie, I was very happy to see that because it proved me right, and people love being right, when I thought this deck is mid, and it proved to be exactly that, very mid. High Tide, 17%, okay, Fairies 14, Terra 20, Giant Wildfire just 12, yikes. But I think that might be also because of the draws, because draws are as good as a lost day 1, so that really makes it bad, and the first draw puts you in the Giant Wildfire bracket and kind of spirals. Now on the right side, Altatron, 20% nice, Elf 16, why we need 20, what? Is the Terra 20 as well? So I think it's a very interesting picture of the metagame, and we would have to have some conclusions at the very end. And as I said, those were the conclusions. Let's actually open tier list, make it together right now, and let's change it, shall we? So let's focus on tier A and tier B. So for tier A, I would put Giant Wildfire first, then I would put something that we would call Mono Red, which is something I am definitely going to find. Thank you. Bam, second. And then I would go like this and call it the Big Five, I think. Although Rakdos has fallen off, so this was the situation at the Geddon, but I think the effect is going to be this, is going to fall off because it didn't prove itself that well, right? 8% conversion. And then if you're going to create like a tier 2 kind of version, then I would put High Tide there, right? I would put Rakdos still there because people would play it. I would put Altatron there, Gruul. Actually, genuinely, I would just put Affinity down there. Blue Terror, Fogtron, right? So this was what we would have. And then, bam, Familiars back on the menu, I think. Maybe even higher like this. And then, do we agree that this is the view of the metagame? Let's take a look at together. Mono Reds, High Tide, Familiars, Madness, Elves. I think this would be the accurate representation. This would be the A plus B of the current format. I think that would be the case, with the caveat that Rakdos Burn might persist, but might also fall off. Now, I'm not going to bother with cycling the rest of it, because, for example, Blue Red Control has clearly shown it's a bit better, so that would be like, for example, here, and Affinity would be here. But I want to focus on the first 2 tiers. And I think we can have a checkup in, let's say, a month from now, and see how correct then I am saying that this would be the top of the metagame. Now, as a Fey gamer, I will of course have to now adjust my deck list accordingly. So be on the lookout for some updates, how I'm going to approach this. But yeah, this is where we stand. And as always, please remember that you can find my content on my Twitter, on Reddit, I post a lot. And then you can also find, there is my YouTube, my Twitter, as I said, my Metafy with the content and the guides. And again, a huge thank you to everyone who approached me at the Geddon. I signed so many Harrier Strixes. I signed so many spells such as Sprites. I had so many pictures with you all. I'm always prepared with my marker, my golden marker. So, and to everyone who asked me, I hope I'm not bothering you. You never are. I love signing cards. I love spending time with you. I love answering questions and taking pictures with you. It really makes my day. So next time at every Geddon or every other opportunity, do feel free to stop me in the middle of the conversation and say, "Hi, Skóra, I just want to take a picture." And I will say, absolutely. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And as always, please remember to hold my hand and let's pass the 10 together. And I will see you next time. Cheers.